What's up, YouTube? So, I want to come through and talk about jealousy in the context of colorism. And usually, when we talk about jealousy within the context of colorism, usually we're talking about, oh, the brown skin and dark skin women being jealous of the light skin mixed and biracial women, right? And that is an argument, of course, you know. However, an argument that's not so much explored, not nearly as much, is when the light-skinned mixed and biracial girls engage in behavior that would be considered reflective of jealousy if a dark-skinned or brown-skinned woman engaged in that same behavior. Okay? And before I really begin and get into this, I'm going to give a disclaimer, which is if it don't apply, let it fly. Okay? But this colorism fueled jealousy subject is often spoken on as the brown skinned, dark skinned women being jealous of the light skinned mixed biracial women. And of course, as I mentioned, that is an argument, but that argument is so over pushed, and explored in order to foster a culture of silence on colorism topics, right? It fosters an atmosphere where brown skinned and dark skinned women are often hesitant to speak on their issues because they don't want to be considered jealous. They don't want to be looked at as they're jealous, and they don't want to be viewed as negative because they already are dealing with a lot as it is. So it's like, why add to the issue? So some tend to just let it slide or just not speak on the colorism topics, which of course doesn't help because if you're not addressing the issues, then you can't solve the issues, right? But again, brown skin, dark skin women get called out on this way more than light skin, mixed and biracial women. Sometimes when that's really not even the case, you know. And also, I want to kind of like juxtapose, the light skin women and brown skin, dark skin women's situation with the male situation. So juxtapose the women's situation with the male situation, the men's situation, all right? Because notice, some brown skin and dark skin men often act angry, jealous, bitter, and insecure towards some light skinned mixed biracial men when they're receiving more attention than them or something like that. But the thing is, when that happens, it's hardly ever called out. No one ever calls that out. That is very much standard. That has been very normalized, right? They can engage in that type of behavior that really they're honestly engaging in more or less the same behavior as the dark skin and brown skin females, but they're just not getting called out on it. Why is that? Why are we calling out the dark skin and brown skin women but not the dark skin and brown skin men? Why aren't brown skin and dark skin women given that same courtesy that brown skin and dark skin men are given? And I think, brown skin and dark skin men play a role in the reason why the brown skin and dark skin women don't get that courtesy. Because notice, they be helping push that narrative too. I know a lot of this goes over people's heads, but when you really get into it and start looking at who's kind of like doing what and pushing what and pulling the strings here and there, you notice, how things really go down, because these brown skin and dark skin men jump in and push the narrative that dark skin, brown skin women are jealous of light skin women. They do, in order to protect their access to those light skin mixed and biracial women because, they're so self-hating, right? They're so self-loathing. They don't have a high feeling of self-worth, right? So they kind of use this mixed biracial female in order to pacify those feelings. right? And of course, it's also a gaslighting and shaming tactic as well, right? It's very clever, right? But it's also another question that comes up though. Why do you think that this dark-skinned or brown-skinned woman is so jealous? You know, quote unquote. Okay, why do you think that is? You know, since people are just pushing this narrative so much, right? You know, light-skinned, mixed, and biracial women definitely pushing this, as well as the brown-skinned, dark-skinned dudes. But okay, do you think that the brown-skinned, dark-skinned females are jealous because these light-skinned, mixed, and biracial women have piss-colored skin? You know, because they have stringy hair, because they have weird, funny-looking eyes, or because ashy face, color-struck Negroes give them more attention? Why do you think? Where do you think the jealousy comes from exactly? Inquiring minds would like to know. Also, considering what brown skin and dark skinned women go through in this fucked up black community, would that be within her right to be jealous, if we want to call it that? Considering all that she goes through, wouldn't that kind of make sense to feel a certain type of way? It seems like, oh, again, people don't want to really acknowledge it just at all. So because people don't want to acknowledge it, it's like, oh, you don't really have a reason to feel that way. But also, how about we just call it being resentful? Maybe she's just resentful that you're in her space. All right, maybe she's resentful about you causing problems by being in her space. Maybe she's resentful that you're being pushed as the standard in her space. Maybe you should just get out of her space if you're so, concerned about being the victim of jealousy. And again, just get out of her space, and you wouldn't have to worry about that. And I know some light-skinned, mixed, and biracial women are going to come through and be like, oh, we can't help it. We can't help that. No, we can't help that, brown skin and dark skin men uplift us. We can't help it that they like us. And bullshit. Bullshit, all right? Yes, the fuck you can help it. All right, you can help it. Stop lying. You welcome the attention. You want it. Because if you didn't, you would be acting a whole nother type of way. Let's be real. You acting like you have no agency in the entire situation, that you're just completely subjected to the wheels of an ashy face color-struck Negro. Like he just is forcing, like you're just forced to deal with this, right? But no, you have agency, and you can exercise that agency if you really want to. You can. But the thing is, a lot of us don't really want to. Especially the basic mediocre ones. They will definitely make sure that they get in a upliftment and pedestal, because ain't no one else gonna give it to them. Only a low self-esteem, color-struck, brown-skinned, dark-skinned man would do that. Nobody else no other group of men on this planet would do that except a brown-skinned, dark-skinned man. And that's how you know they got some issues. All right, that's how you know this colorism shit is very much deeply rooted. All right, as I said, as it has been said, self-hate runs the deepest in brown-skinned and dark-skinned people. I ain't trying to really come for anybody, but when it comes to these colorism issues, that self-hate thing runs very deep there. And then when it comes to the lighter skinned folks, the identity issues come into play, right? The identity crisis, right? That's why you have the tragic mulatto stereotype, right? So like I said, we're all affected by this colorism shit, but just in different ways, though. You know. And also, some light-skinned mixed biracial women have been known to bully some, of the good-looking and probably just regular brown-skinned and dark-skinned black women. I've heard stories about that too. But that's not really explored as much, though. You know, I'm not sure why that is. I guess it doesn't fit the narrative, so forget about it, right? And also, as you know, everything ultimately goes back to maintaining the hierarchy of colorism in the black community. All this really factors into that. It all traces back to maintaining that hierarchy, okay? That's where this all goes into. The gaslighting, the shaming, the lying, the manipulation. It all just circles back to maintaining the colorism hierarchy. All right. And also, something that isn't talked about as much either. Some light-skinned mixed and biracial women expect brown-skinned and dark-skinned women to be jealous of them, and even want them to be jealous of them. Why? Why do you think that is? Because, especially the basic mediocre ones, they feed off of it. Just like these non-black women feed off of this type of shit too. They feed off of this shit. This is where they get their self-esteem from. Their self-esteem boosts, right? Because again, that hierarchy has you at the, brown skin, dark skin women at the very bottom. Okay? So this whole system is built on top of you. So when you remove yourself from the whole situation, then everything comes tumbling down, because that's the foundation. Right? They don't want to lose that foundation. Because if those basic mediocre light-skinned women, and the other ones as well, perhaps, don't have you to compare themselves to, then it's like, it's kind of like, well, what do I do? Because they can't do that with other groups of women. They can just do it with the brown-skinned, dark-skinned chicks, because the brown-skinned and dark-skinned men allow it. They have agency too. We all have some agency to an extent. Let's be real. It's just that people pretend like they don't. They don't want to use it, at least against their best interests or against themselves, in order to help you, because, well, there's no reason for them to. Because there's nothing to, like the brown skin, dark skin women, I hate to say it, but y'all just give up so much as it is that there's nothing really to gain from you at this point, by and large. It's kind of like that saying, right? It's like, I know the women know this saying, but it's like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, right? So in this situation, why placate to you and, try to get your approval, sympathy, if they can't really get anything out of you, because you've just given up so much as it is already, while everything is fucked up, while receiving colorism. You're just, yeah. As well, to an extent, they really know you don't have any choices, any options, any backup plans or anything like that. All right, that's how they're acting, at least. And they also know that you're weak, sad, and pathetic, and will accept anything because you get full off of crumbs. And again, if it don't apply, let it fly. Okay. I know that all dark-skinned, brown-skinned women ain't fitting into this, but enough are, though. All right. So you know who you are. And also, something else to speak on. How are dark-skinned and brown-skinned women jealous when you want their men? Because, she's saying, she can't help it, but you can help who you date, right? And marry and have kids with, right? You can help that. And I'm pretty sure this, he ain't just forcing you to just, you ain't have no choice. Come on now, all right? But yeah, that would be reflective of you, light-skinned, mixed biracial women, wanting to be in the spot of a brown-skinned, dark-skinned woman. Because that's not really your spot, right? And when you get their men, you low-key try to rub it in their face, right? Like, like, oh yeah, bitch, I got your man, right? It's kind of like it kind of plays into her femininity, or it feeds her sense of femininity and being able to kind of steal another woman's man. Because you know how those weak, sad, pathetic type of women act. You know how they act. The type that will go after married men. You know. So like in this situation, to keep it real, like the light-skinned mixed and biracial women are like the home-wrecking whores in the situation, not the brown-skinned, dark-skinned women. And in those situations, we will say that how would the wife, the girlfriend, main chick, or whatever be jealous in a situation like that when you are the one who's being the homewrecker? You are trying to be in her spot, right? And also, like, your own, for the light-skinned mixed biracial women, your own male counterpart won't uplift you just for being light-skinned, okay? That's not going to happen. And they know that. So they got to get it from somewhere else. They gotta find somebody to run game on. And they run game on both brown-skinned and dark-skinned men and women. Not just the men, but both of them. They're really on the entire community, but especially for those two groups, because those two groups are very vulnerable to their light-skinned tears, right? Light-skinned mixed biracial men, not so much, you know. Also, this is a bit off, not off topic, but it's just a bit of a sidebar. But I posted a video a while ago that was like Radon Chong, that actress from the '80s. She was like the exotical of the '80s, right? The exotic black woman, quote unquote, of the '80s, right? I had posted some video of her when she was giving an interview, and she went on Oprah Winfrey, and she was like, "Oh, Oprah Winfrey was that fat chick from high school, that wannabe cheerleader who was like student council president, right? And she would have been a field nigger, shit like that, right?" And I feel like that kind of came about because look who's more successful. Oprah is way more successful than Radon Chong. And Radon Chong probably thought that she was going to be the more successful one. Why? Because she was like, she mixed light, bright, and damn near white. So, she thought she was going to be, the best thing ever. And also, she made sure not to fuck with any brown-skinned and dark-skinned men either, from what I heard, because she only married white men. So she made sure not to fuck with them niggas either. But again, notice that whenever there was a part for a black woman, she would be jumping at the helm for it, even though she'd be like, "Oh, I'm Scottish, Jamaican, Italian, Cherokee Indian, Nova Scotian, Antarctican." All these like damn geographical locations and shit, right? But when it came time to get acting roles, she typically went for like the token black girl roles, right? And I just pretty much just say all this to say that yes, I think jealousy is an argument on both sides of the fence, though. I think low-key jealousy is an argument between the men at some point too. Although I feel like with the men, I feel like that narrative or situation would be the brown skin, dark skin men bucking on the light skin, mixed and biracial men versus the other way around. I haven't really seen any light skin, mixed and biracial men really engaged in any type of like behavior like that toward brown skin and dark skin men. Yeah. Despite, brown skinned and dark skinned men, being so uplifted in the community, like the chocolate goddesses that they are. And while the brown skinned and dark skinned women are like the chocolate warriors, they protect the chocolate goddesses at all costs, even if it means their own life. All right. No, I think there's something a little bit wrong with that. As I mentioned in the previous video, I did a whole video about this. There is extreme gender role confusion at play in the black community. But that's like a whole nother topic though. But yeah, I just wanted to come through and kind of just explore this topic a little bit and just speak on this and just, add something different to that narrative. Low-key something to sort of counter that narrative, or at least just show a different aspect of that narrative, because oftentimes it's just the same thing, like, oh, she's the dark-skinned girl's jealous, but it's like, well, there's another side to that though. So that's pretty much all I have to say. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Adios and goodbye for now.